All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Right now, this is the basic tools you're gonna need for this fork seal replacement. Definitely gonna need an impact. It's gonna come handy, especially when it comes taking that bottom fork screw that you're gonna see on the video. Also, you're gonna need an extended 8mm hex, followed by a 14, another short 8, a 6, and a 5/32 hex. Special tools. In addition, it was the 41 seal cedar and your 10W fork oil with your replacement part. Here's the number. Got this from Amazon. Apparently it's better than the OEM Kawasaki ones. And then, don't know the correct word, but it's called like the fork syringe apparatus. I don't know the correct word. I'm sure it's on millimeters as well. And that's all we're gonna use for the tray. And of course, your degreaser is gonna be a little bit oily. First step you wanna do is loosen up this bolt. This bolt, if it's not loosened enough, this doesn't matter how hard you crank it, it will not come out. So it's just your security feature to make sure that bolt doesn't loosen up when you're riding your bike. Pretty common on bikes. It's the first thing I recommend you guys take it out. Inspect the bolt. Looks good. No big issues. Came right off. Now, the other thing I like to do, I usually will go through the steps from the bottom up, loosen up all the way my bolts from my caliper to my triple tree and so forth. But in order for this demonstration, I'm just gonna go and take this sucker, loosen it up right up, and then work with my calipers. Once they're off, they'll slide off. Just put a tag or something, I highly suggest here, so you remember, so you can squeeze that brake. Then undo this little retainer clip that holds it in place, put it somewhere safe. It's not a lot of pressure, it's not a heavy caliper, so I'll place it somewhere here in the plastic and in the chassis, and it works just as fine. All right, next step, grab your 14 hex bit. I'm gonna take this mother lover out. Gotta get a little bit of, there we go. That leverage always helps. Out, do a visual inspection. On this case, I highly suggest re-greasing. It does have a light grease on it. Helps with the bearings to be all smooth and whatnot. Right now, for the sake of argument, I'm just gonna clean it, re-grease it, and make sure there's no visual damage, which it shouldn't, but it's always good to double check. Moving on, once you got that sucker out, remove your front wheel. This bearings will collapse really easy. Another way to highly suggest, make sure there's no visual damage. Make sure everything is intact. Back in the rear, same situation. Bushing is inside, and inspect for any visual wear and tear or damage. And then move it to somewhere to place. So I'm just gonna place this right here. Should be good. Once the wheel is off, second step, you need to take this fairing off. All it requires is 12mm. You can use a ratchet or a open end or close end, but for the sake of argument, I'm just gonna show this for demonstration. There's only gonna be 4 bolts. Start unscrewing them, and I should get out. So on the rear bolt, which is crucial, this was actually holding your bracket for your brake lines. Make sure you have them together and pay attention how it was put on. And you do have a guide over here and a hole right on the back, so pretty straightforward. You'll have no issues putting this part. Is it the 5/32 X? And it's just to remove your signal, your front turn signal. Just loosen it up, because it won't all make sense once we got everything loosen up, and I'll show you right now in a few seconds. So we're gonna switch to the H6. Gotta loosen all these bolts. And now it should start sliding off. And there you have it. You right now has disassembled your front suspension, aka your fork. And now we're gonna do a little bit more thorough explanation how to get this out of here and put new seals and re-oil it. All right, so now we're gonna work on the dust seal. Let's work a flat, work your way up, down, and work your way through. Nice and easy. That is your dust cover. In addition, you're gonna see your retaining clip. Work yourself way around it, as so. Now the retaining clip has been removed. This tool is going to come effective. This is the 8mm extended drill bit. You definitely gonna need some type of torque element because all this will spin in conjunction. This is the really fun part, and here we go. So I just add a little bit of pressure. There we go. So visual inspection, bolt looks good, probably needs to clean up. This crush washer right here comes with your replacement parts. Make sure to change it as well. Make sure you drain it. Give it a couple of pumps. So on the replacement kit, roughly $26 to $32 on Amazon. Make sure you put the right model number, but you will include everything that you need for this project. All right, so once you let it dry, remember this bolt, all it does is retain this entire system, okay? So now you're gonna force yourself up, the whole system will come off, okay? Now that we have the fork, you're gonna see most of these items are in fact in your bag of replacement parts. Right now, I'm gonna clean all this, have a physical view if it needs any adjustment, but so far I don't see any issues. I'm just gonna keep it super simple for the administration of this video. And here is the culprit. This right here is the main issue on all Kawasaki 650 Vulcans. For some reason, they come defective. This was just the condition that we just saw it for a motorcycle with barely 2,000 miles on it. We're just gonna replace this bad boy. And this, it was retained oil inside of your fork. This is a big issue. It's a failure from Kawasaki. The replacement part so far, heard nothing but great news and good things about it. That is in fact cheaper and more effective than the Kawasaki OEM. All right, so this part might confuse you. It came out of inside of here. We have a video, but if it does come out, well, highly suggested because you got to clean the housing and you want to inspect that everything is in a working order, it's not cracked or anything. So flat face with the springs pushing forward, that's where it goes, okay? So the whole concept is because it was just go like this, okay? And that's how it'll be sitting inside of your spring, because right here is just where it meets up with the housing, and then does this little cool thing. But just for reference, just putting that out there. All right, so let's start putting everything together. We already did our visual inspection, cleaning. Sit this little mother trucker right here. Set it back into place. Once we got that, we're gonna put the bolt that came out of here and retighten everything and move on from there. It's good. Next step, take that bolt off. So make sure that keep a positive view on this. This might pop up. You don't know how much under pressure it should be, but shouldn't. But keep that in mind. Out. Sleeve is out. Spring with shim. Then the rest of the components. Why I'm doing this? Because why the hell not? Let's just review, see, no big issues, and then clean all the internals. And then reverse the order, putting it back in. So I remember doing this a while, and could not remember the order I got everything out. So in good faith, I'm gonna show you guys how to do it. And for some reason, there's no videos out there. So show the spring. So with this contraption right here, boop, 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 all string together. First thing you need to put on, followed by spring, then shim. Make sure it's flat. Then put your tube. And put your little, what should we call it, the little top hat over here, and then you're good. That'll be the order precedence. So on this bike, 10W fork coil, high performance. Get your measuring cup. Make sure you fill that all the way to 400 millimeters. Round the dot. So your 400 millimeters onto the oil. Get all that air out, and you're gonna start feeling tension, and it's gonna start hardening up. I'm gonna set up this gauge to 200 millimeters. Once we got that, we're gonna insert it onto the fork, and all we're gonna do is release any excessive, or get rid, I should say, of excessive fork oil. It's a little bit awkward, so let me find my position here. Here we go. Get that excessive oil out. There we go. Purposes. Bolt is clean. New bolt crusher is there. And now we just gonna retighten it, put everything back before we put our seals in. It's good. Make sure that you add some pressure. So now slide in your seal, your fork seal. Make sure it's nice and easy. Use this little mama jama right here. Make sure it's seated. Stop. Now that the seal is seated, especially the spatial tool, ensure it's flushed with that little seating right here where I'm putting up. That's where your clips are gonna go. So if they don't seat properly and you don't have enough space, you're just gonna go back here and tighten it just a little bit more. Once you have done that, grab your dust cover, same way. Make sure it's seated. All right, so ensure that you don't take both of the forks off. Here's why. You're gonna use the OEM or the position that it was as a reference. So to do that, let's put this bad boy in. Don't forget your tail light, your front signal. Visualize where you want it. Mark that boy out. You're good. Putting this front fender, I suggest from the bottom up. See how she slides? Don't go top bottom, don't go side to side, bottom up. All right, that's good. All right, so we're putting back front tire. Ensure that your front disc is facing where your brake lever is. This part is the easiest, but also a little bit challenging due to the fact that those bearings are barely holding into the wheel frame. So let me readjust again. Now we got it joined up. Start tightening back on. I forget this bolt. Now, one of my favorite parts, put on the caliper. So if you didn't compress the brake or anything, the gap should be relatively the same. If you go up and down, side of it, boom, goes back into its place. We're gonna ensure that your brake pressed in, all bled out once you put those calipers in. Make sure nothing feels funky, weird. We're now preloading, seeing if I got any physical leaks coming up. Test ride complete. No visible marks or any kind of liquid or leaks coming off both the forks. And thanks for tuning in. That is a tutorial on how to change the fork seals on a Kawasaki Vulcan 650.